Are you looking to get ready, be prepared, and transform your financial future? Then you've come to the right place. This is the Get Ready Money podcast with Tony Stewart, where Tony has insightful conversations with financial experts who are changing the way we think about money. Catch up on the latest financial trends and hear practical advice from Tony and his expert guests so you can build healthy habits that work. Be empowered with tips for implementing small changes that can have a big impact on your financial future. So sit back and get ready to hear from today's guest.
Welcome to the Get Ready Money podcast, changing the way we think about money. I'm pleased to be joined today by Peter Asare Nyarko, Charlene Cong, and Robin Taub. In this episode, we'll be discussing financial literacy around the world. Welcome to the Get Ready Money podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so glad you all could join. I've always enjoyed our relationships over the years. So, let's jump in with a quick round of introductions, and just a brief story about your connection with financial literacy and what drives your passion for financial literacy. Charlene, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Charlene Cong. I'm Chinese living in Switzerland. So basically, I quit my corporate job after I built up a 7-figure investment portfolio. So currently, I help busy professionals in Switzerland and beyond to retire early and live free by learning how to invest. So my original story, I would say I've been working in the banking industry for 10 years and I wasn't really enjoying that much the corporate job, a corporate job. So at some point I was just thinking, should I really just like work for money, or how can I really make money work for me? So I started to learn a lot, read a lot of books, and then I even self-studied the CFA program, level 1, level 2, level 3. And then later on, I started my career as a banking journalist. So I investigated how multimillionaires and billionaires invest. And then I joined JPMorgan, also serving private banking clients. And then I moved to Switzerland. It's also in the banking industry, serving private banks. So after 10 years, it's also kind of like something like an internal drive inside me asking me, oh, Charlene, do you really want to kind of make richer over the next decades to come? And then at some point, I just feel like, if I can really use the expertise, the experience, and the skills to empower everyday people. It's like me 10 years ago, to be more financially literate and use money to make money out of money, understand the basic compound interest, long-term investing. It will give me more purpose. Such a bigger purpose. So at some point, I just quit my corporate job and devoted 100% of my time into my little venture. And I've been doing it for almost like 2 years.
That's awesome. And we'll talk about Charlene's YouTube channel for watchers and listeners, but Charlene has an amazing YouTube channel. Robin.
Hi, Tony, and everyone listening today. My name is Robin Taub, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. I am a CPA by training, but I'm not your typical accountant, I like to say. I'm a keynote speaker, the author of a book called The Wisest Investment, Teaching Your Kids to Be Responsible, Independent, and Money Smart for Life. And I also have a Substack newsletter called A Word from the Wise. So my origin story is I'm a financial professional, and I have been for 30 plus years. So with that kind of background, I've always felt comfortable and confident around money and financial concepts. And I always felt that money management was a really important life skill. And it was one that I wanted to pass on to my own 2 kids. So when they were young, I started to invest in their financial education. Now my kids are in their late 20s, and I think that I have succeeded in raising kids who are responsible, independent, and, as I like to say, mostly money smart. And I want to help other parents teach their kids about money, because research shows that parents feel like they lack the time, knowledge, and experience to do it well. So that's why I wrote The Wisest Investment, and that's why I continue to spread the word about youth financial literacy.
That's awesome. I know I'm struggling with our late teen son and his financial issues. So for other parents out there, Robin's book is a great resource. Peter, how about you?
Great. Thank you, Tony. And hello to everyone. It's always been exciting coming on the Get Ready Money podcast. So my name is Peter Asare Nyarko. I am from Ghana. Ghana is located in the western part of Africa. And so mostly they say Ghana is the center of the world. And we are also the gateway to Africa. And so I'm a financial literacy advocate and educator. I'm an author. I'm a social entrepreneur. And I'm a certified financial fitness coach as well. So I engage clients on how to, say, build their financial muscles. Yes. And so my origin story, I think the whole concept of financial literacy advocacy was when I had a conversation with my granddad. So he made a lot of money, but because he wasn't financially literate, he couldn't build any financial legacy. And so right after retirement, he went through a lot of financial challenges. And so one day after school, he had a conversation with me, sharing with me how his financial actions and inactions have had a huge impact on his life. And so I said to myself, right, then I need to take this message to the world. So I started gathering my colleagues. We'll go to churches, we'll go to marketplaces, we'll go to schools, just talking to people about the need to save, the need to plan ahead of their future. And so I also read accounting in school. And so I kind of professionally, I know more about bookkeeping and all those things. So in 2018, we decided to form an organization to champion financial literacy here in Ghana and across Africa. And so we formed the Center for Financial Literacy Education Africa. And since then, I have been involved in financial literacy activities in Ghana and across most of the African countries. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Glad you're here today. And for listeners, Peter's organization, I know, has done a lot in Ghana and I think Kenya as well, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
You've had quite the footprint, so, doing amazing work. So, let's talk about this. You're from all around the world. What do you all feel that why financial literacy is a global issue? It's not just local to our, countries.
Yeah, I think it's a great question that at the very beginning, I grew up in mainland China and then I moved to Hong Kong. I work in both Hong Kong and Singapore, and then I moved to Switzerland. At the very beginning, I really thought, only in China, we didn't teach finance or economics or overall money related things when I was younger. I really thought it's just China. And then after I moved to other countries, talked to other friends, and then I realized, it's just not China at all. It's really a global issue. Let me just tell you a little story of one of my ex-colleagues. She's super smart. She has a PhD degree in engineer. So study overseas. She's from China, but study in US, in the UK as well for her PhD. I think she has 2 PhDs. And then when we talk about finance, actually just one time, and then she was asking me, what is a stock? I want, to be very honest, 10 years ago, I didn't know what's the difference between a stock and a bond, to be very honest, before I really learned this kind of thing. But it kind of shocked me a little bit, for such an intelligent person. And then some really basic things, when we talk about compound interest, when we talk about what is an ETF, what is a stock, people just haven't heard of the world in their whole entire life. And that is something that really shocked me and make me feel like it's just not about China, or it's not about just Hong Kong, Singapore. It's not just like because Switzerland. Switzerland is known for as an international finance center, right? But when you talk to a lot of people here, there's so many people, elite people we can put in this way. They have a great degree. I was a PhD, so high up in their own domain, but they do not have the basics. And you cannot blame them because unless you self-learn this kind of thing, the school, the system, the government, everything else, you're just not learning it naturally because we're not taught at all.
Yeah,
it's the same thing in the US or in Africa, Peter.
Yeah, I was going to add that, that's sort of, I feel like I came at this from a different perspective because I did a commerce degree and I became an accountant. I got that was like a postgraduate professional designation. So I was always immersed in it. So for me, it became when I guess I became aware of this being a global issue after the 2008 global financial crisis, because Canada established a task force on financial literacy because they believed it was critical to Canadian economic growth and prosperity. And they ended up developing a national strategy, which they've updated over the years. So that's when it first came to my attention, but it seems so obvious now because, Charlene, as you said too, it's a basic life skill. So no matter where we live around the world, we all interact with money on almost a daily basis. So we have to learn how to earn it, save it, spend it, share it, and invest it wisely. And ideally, you learn that from a young age. And now it's been established that that money worries are the number one source of stress for people, which can lead to both physical and mental health issues. So there's more emphasis around the world on helping people become better and improving in this area. And how can you, being financially literate means having the knowledge, skills, and confidence to make responsible financial decisions throughout your life. And really, how can you argue with that?
Right. Yes. So to add up, I believe money impacts every aspect of our lives. And so despite your country, your culture, or even your economic status, you may have some challenges with money. And so if people are not really financially literate, it becomes a challenge. And so on a global level, because of the economic conditions we are facing, just like Ruben said, 2008, we had the financial crisis. COVID-19 also revealed a lot of challenges within our financial planning space. We realized people who were laid out of work and all that, they lost a huge chunk of their inflows. And so it's a global challenge in the sense that money impacts every aspect of our life. And so there's a need for us to start thinking about it, start putting plans in place to be able to overcome this huge social challenge.
Yeah, it's amazing because, the theme that I picked up from all of you is that, it's about more than just the numbers, that it's, Peter, as you said, it's woven into all parts of our lives. And Charlene, you started off, two different countries, pretty much the same issues. Robin, Canada, I know in the US is, there's that, the same conversation. So, let's talk, just for a minute about what do you feel is the current state of financial literacy? Where are we right now? Have we made progress? Because some of us, I know, Peter, you and I have been doing this for quite a while. Is financial literacy working? Are we making progress?
Right.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from Peter. Yeah, if you already
right. Sure. I think we are still not there yet. Yes, there's a lot of progress being made. There's a lot of organizations and now even governments, central banks of countries are getting involved in financial awareness and financial literacy education. But I think we are still not there yet. And so I chanced on a recent research that says that out of 3 adults, only one is financially literate. And so if 1 out of 3 is financial literate, then we are still not there yet. And so there's the need for us to intensify our reach. There's the need for us to collaborate and promote this important conversation. So yes, we are still not there yet, but progress are being made.
That's awesome. Robin, do you see progress being made?
Well, I'll tell you what the situation is in Canada. There have been slight improvements in the financial literacy of Canadians since 2008, according to the federal government. Again, that was when the task force was established. Research has found recent research that Canadians say they're knowledgeable about some things like budgeting, saving, and paying off debt, but wish they knew more about other things like investing, to Charlene's point, or wills and estate planning. And 60% of Canadians say they wish they had a stronger level of financial literacy. So I think one of the reasons we're only seeing slight improvements is because it takes work, effort, and time to learn. Other research from 2019 found that more than half of young Canadians, 18 to 34, have taken steps to strengthen their financial knowledge, mainly through online study or learning at work or in school. But only a third of Canadians aged 65 and older engaged in financial learning over the past 5 years. And given the current challenging economic situation of lingering high prices, high cost of living, inflation, now we have tariffs, it's not surprising that research shows that most Canadians say they're paying closer attention to their own finances on a regular basis.
Yeah, I
What
love
are you
it.
saying, Charlene?
Yeah, just to add up, I think I couldn't share too much about, different aspects of financial literacy, maybe just from the investment perspective. So let me just poke into different aspects of investing. For example, when it comes to investing, we talk about why do we need to invest, right? That's the first thing. And then once you figure it out, you start to think about what to invest in. There are just so many different products, investments out there, like mutual fund, ETF, stocks, bonds, fixed income, real estate, anything cryptocurrency, right? And then after you figure out what, and then you want to know when to invest, what is the best time, we keep saying that, don't time the market, etc. when, and then how to optimize it. So to be really honest, why I shared this is because over the past 1, 2, 3, 4 years since I've been with the industry for so long, I think we're pretty much still at the first stage of investing. Well, we still need to convince, like, for example, my students, we still need to convince my target audience why. I thought, that's the really basic thing, because of inflation, because you want the money to work for you, because you want freedom, because you want to retire early, because you don't want to just stuck in where you are after 1 year, this time next year, this time 10 years later, right? To me, it's very, very clear. But to be really honest, to most students of mine, and to most target audience of mine, like those busy professionals, let's say, we're pretty much still at the stage number 1 over the past few years. I still need to spend a lot of effort explaining why you should start to invest. So that's the answer.
Well, that's interesting. Is maybe that is it, and as the three of you discuss this, is one thing that came to mind is just the vast amount of different areas that are covered in personal finance. I come from an insurance background, and that's something, everybody has an insurance policy for the most part of some type, but people don't really understand it. And it's the same issue. And maybe that's part of the issue, is they have to know about insurance. They have to know about credit. They have to know about, they have to know about investing. They have to, know the building blocks. And Charlene, I think you said something especially important, is understanding the why. Is there's been such a focus on the actual products, that, for example, if you go to a doctor doesn't expect you to know everything about the particular issue that you're dealing with is the doctor looks at, the issue you walk in with and helps you through that process rather than saying, oh, well, you could do this or you could do that. And then you have to know exactly how each one works. And so like with investing, Charlene, what you're talking about is, to me, it's like, we expect people to understand the difference between every single mutual fund, but that's not really where people are coming from, because they're like, what the heck is a mutual fund? So I think maybe that is part of the
so
issue.
True.
So, what do you all feel is really working with financial literacy? What progress, where are you seeing progress in financial literacy?
All right, so maybe let me go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes. So in terms of progress, I see progress in the sense that there's a lot of community participation. And so, for example, when you look at what is happening within Africa and Ghana, particularly, the community are now getting themselves involved in financial literacy education. And so universities are getting involved, financial service and product providers are getting involved, key stakeholders like the central bank, Ministry of Finance, are all getting themselves involved in educating people about their personal finance. And so looking at it from that angle, I see a huge progress being made. About 7 years ago, when we started this whole financial literacy engagement in Ghana, most of these stakeholders wasn't interested in helping educate the people. Even some of the financial service and product providers, I once had a conversation with one MD, and he said he wants to sell his products to dump customers. That is when he can take advantage of them. And then I said to him, no, when people are more aware and more educated about your product, they will even purchase more of that product. And so they need to allocate resources, they need to allocate funds to handling financial education. And over the years, most of these financial institutions are getting themselves involved. And so the community participation is encouraging. Another thing I want to touch on is, because we have technology integration, now it is easy to teach financial literacy. You can just use social media to teach financial literacy. And so for my organization, most of the things we do, we leverage technology to do that. We leverage social media. We leverage Zoom platforms to engage people from different aspects of the country. Initially, if you want to teach financial literacy, you have to go to the people. And sometimes logistics may not allow you to do that. But because you have technology, even at the comfort of your home, you can just teach people wherever they find themselves. And I see all these things to be the progress we are making in terms of the education.
Peter, can I just ask you out of curiosity, so what you offer, like your company offer, is courses, right? Is online courses, and then you promote your courses through social media platforms. Do I understand correctly? Do you also have offline school, or you are purely online education platform?
Yes, so we do more of advocacy and education. And so yes, we share our materials through social media, but then we also create engaging challenges. And so we have money challenges, and we are using TikTok, Facebook to encourage the young people to get themselves involved. And these are some of the ways we are driving that education.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I would say in Canada, some of the things that are working, financial literacy in school would be the main one. So, for example, in Ontario, which is the province where I live, where Toronto is, starting this year, grade 10 students have to complete a mandatory financial literacy component within their math course. And it's going to cover things like budgeting, saving, and fraud protection, just for example. And students have to score at least 70% to graduate from high school. So now that financial literacy is taking a course is mandatory to graduate from high school, I'd say that's really, great progress. Another thing I think that's working is that in Canada, we have like 5 big banks essentially. And I would say all of them include within their mobile banking app tools to help you track your spending and create budgets and just in general take more control over your finances by setting alerts and all kinds of things. So I think a lot of people are using those and taking advantage of these tools. They're free because they are built into your mobile banking app. And I think with AI, we're going to see even more of that or even better, smarter tools.
Yeah, actually, I have a question that I wanted to ask you guys. When it comes to what is working with financial literacy, sometimes I feel it's like a scandal across the globe. I feel if let's just imagine, I mean, correct me or you think otherwise. For example, how I feel is like if really everyone knows how to properly make money, save money, invest money, how to make money work for them, early, when you're early 30s or 40s, you already kind of achieve a certain level of financial freedom. You're free. You don't need to rely on a 9 to 5 job. Then the world, do you think it will be stable anymore? Right? So, for example, research showed that I think if I remember correctly, 75% of the people say they still work their 9 to 5 job because of money. So what I wanted to say, if everyone do not really have the money issue, are really worry free in terms of money, do you think the society of the world will be as stable as how it is now? So sometimes I found that yes, we do not teach the young generation or our generation, how to make money, save money, invest money, this kind of financial literacy courses since young. I feel like kind of like a scandal behind it. It's just like sometimes I think about, why, right? Why everyone knows it's important, but why it is not widely introduced? And then it's just like sometimes I think maybe it's because of this.
Like a conspiracy? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
like
something like this. Yeah,
that
global conspiracy.
To keep people ignorant so that
they keep working for their 9 to 5, keep working, keep being a hamster, in a hamster wheel.
Interesting.
Peter, you laugh
I've never
a lot.
thought of it.
Yes. So
I've never thought of it that way. But
yes. So
I think that one of the reasons is that people just have a really hard time saving. That's the first step. You can't invest until you've saved.
That's
and I think so many,
true, yeah.
Especially in consumption-driven societies, people have a really hard time living within their means or below their means and saving as that first step toward investing.
Yeah. So to touch on that, I think when everyone is having an abundance, when everyone is able to manage their money, when everyone is getting their finances right, I think the world will be a better place. It will be a more better place.
You think it will be a better place?
Yes, even more better. Because one, we will be able to achieve our greatest potential. And so, for example, we do group financial planning as an employee package for organizations. And one thing we tell them is, if your employees are not worrying about their finances when they come to work, they will be more productive. And so if you pay them good, if you don't have any worry about money, they will
I
put
thought
in
they
more
just
effort.
quit. They don't want to work anymore.
Yes, they will be more productive and then they will give out their maximum output. And so for me, I think otherwise. I think once everyone is financially aware, they will be
more purpose driven instead of money driven.
Absolutely, that's the word. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, back to you, Tony. I think we're a little bit going a bit too far from the original question.
Well, I think that's it, because the next question is, what do we see as the future of financial literacy? And Peter, I think you're already starting to talk about that, is and all of you have mentioned it, is a change in the mindset. I think part of it that I've seen is that people struggle with math. And when you're talking about these concepts, of living within your means, is that if you can't do basic addition and subtraction, how are you going to remember that you need to save and spend less than you earn? How are you going to understand compound interest, which can be an advanced concept for people? So, what do you all see as the future? I mean, is it about helping people understand these basic tools? Is it about mindset? Is it a combination of these things? Charlene, you want to take a swing at this? Put you on the spot.
So in terms of the future of financial literacy, I think, I cannot say like for 10 years or, or longer, but what I am currently working on is to try to really tap people's desire and pain points. For example, you really need to I tried a lot of ways to see, what is the better way to educate. For example, you teach what's the difference between stock and a bond. You teach the difference between active investing and passive investing. And then you realize, why do people care? People don't care. So what I wanted to say is that over the short term, I cannot say again for 10 or 20 years, I think most financial literacy educator, we still need to tap on why people need to do this, why people need to save, make money, save money, and invest money, and how to make it really work, and really need to tap on what are their pain points. Their pain points, for example, for my target audience, my target audience are busy professionals, for example, they do not enjoy the corporate job that much. They want to quit 9 to 5 as early as they can. They want to spend more time with their loved ones. They want to, I know my target audience. So when you create a content or create educational content that always have their pain points in their mind, I would say over the short term, from the 2 to 3 years or 5 years, maybe we're not directly talk about products, active, passive, this kind of thing, but we just need to keep their pain points and desire, what they really want, what they really need in our mind.
I think values is a big part of it. And that goes back to what you were saying at the beginning, Charlene, about the why. Like, why, how do you motivate people to care about their personal finances or about investing or about saving or spending less money? And I think it goes back to your values and the things in life that are most important to you. So I created a values validator, an exercise in my book to help people tease out what their values are, because you can use those values to set goals that are meaningful and compelling. You can do it as parents, you can have your kids do it. I mean, I think most parents want their kids to share their values. And most partners in relationships want to have overlapping values. So it's an interesting exercise to do. But I think that does help clarify the why and to get people to think about what is important to them, whether it's, for some people, their values are going to be security. For others, it's going to be adventure or health or family. So once you get clear about that, then you can align your financial strategies and habits to those values and your goals. And I think also habits is really important. Like, that's more the how, like you were saying earlier, like first it's the why, and then it's a bit of like the what and the how. So starting to, teaching your kids good habits from an early age is really important, because habits are like well-traveled pathways. They do create neural pathways in the brain, and it's easier to establish good habits early than to try to rewire bad habits later, because they're sticky. So I think if we can try to teach the next generation good habits from an early age, then they will have that ability to live within their means, to pay themselves first, to start saving and then investing.
That's awesome.
Sure. So to add to that, I think we should also approach and see financial literacy as a lifelong learning. And so
Yeah.
your financial situation changes as you move along. And so when you are in college, you are thinking about student loan. When you get out of college, you are thinking about how do I secure a job. When you get married, you are thinking about how do I plan my finances with my spouse, my kids, and all that. So you have to be ready to learn throughout the journey. And so at every stage of your life, you must know your values, you must know your goals, and work through that. So as educators, we can fix that into the way we treat financial literacy. We must let them understand it is not a destination, it is a journey. And so your situation will change as and when you move along. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that. So, let's start to wrap up. Real quickly, what is each of your number one takeaway from the conversation? Robin?
So I think for me, it's that teaching your kids or your grandkids or really any young person that you care about to be responsible, independent, and money smart for life is the wisest investment, and it will pay off in countless ways, including greater confidence, freedom, and opportunities. And I can guarantee that you will learn a few things along the way too.
That's awesome. Charlene, what's your number one takeaway?
Yeah, I think for me is always start with your goals, your values, and why. It's just like what we just talked about with Peter and Robin together. I think everyone's situation is different and it's really a lifelong learning. But before you start anything, you really should know why. Like for me, I keep telling my students, our money is not just money. Money shouldn't be your goal, but money equals freedom, equals life choices, and equals power, the power to say no to the situation that you want to be. So figure out your why and value.
Love it. Peter, how about you?
Yes, so I would say collaboration. And so if we want to solve the global challenge that comes with financial literacy, there's the need for us to collaborate. Educators within this space must collaborate, just like we have done today. This is a great collaboration. And so central banks, Ministry of Finance, educational institutions, everyone should come on board. I believe once we all have a common voice, we can solve this global challenge. Indeed, financial literacy, illiteracy is a challenge, and we must unite, collaborate, and kick it out. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. And I appreciate all of you being here, because this is a sign of collaboration. And I just want to say to everybody listening, because I'm fortunate to have a global audience for this podcast. And I think I've had listeners, if I recall correctly, in 77 different countries. So, we are having a global conversation. But as Peter points out, let's continue to have this global conversation, because I think as we've talked about here today, my number one takeaway is that we're all seeing the same things, that we need to think about our why. We need to, help our kids learn, because, if we can teach our kids, that's something they gather through their lives. And, Peter, I just talked about collaboration, and as you mentioned, that this is a journey, it's not a destination. And I think that's something that people, can hopefully take in and take to heart. So real quickly, where can people learn more about you? Where do you hang out? Where can they pick up your book or podcast or, whatever? Peter, you want to kick off?
All right. Thank you, Tony, for this opportunity. It has been great. And so if people want to learn more about me, you can just catch me on LinkedIn, Peter Asare Nyarko. I am very active on LinkedIn. You can also check out our website, www.cfleafrica.org. You can also get more information about us. And yes, basically, just Peter Asare Nyarko on all social media. You can just Google my name, and plenty of links will appear for you to
Famous
get
person, Peter.
Well, and for everybody watching and listening, as always, there will be links to everyone's websites and social media handles. Robin, where do you hang out? Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, like Peter, I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, although I've sort of had taken a bit of a sabbatical the last few months because I was spending the winter abroad. So I haven't been as active lately, but I will be back to it. So LinkedIn is my main social media platform. But if you're interested in checking out my speaking engagements, other resources I recommend, my book, The Wisest Investment, as well as a sign up for my Substack called A Word from the Wise, you can go to robintaub.com. So that's Robin with an I. And my last name is Taub. And the book is available online. So you can pick it up through Amazon or other online retailers. Thanks, Tony.
Awesome. And Charlene, how about you?
Yeah, so if anyone just dropped by in Europe, in Switzerland, in Zurich, actually my office is just in the Zurich city. So welcome to drop by. And also I'm very active on LinkedIn, and YouTube are the two main social media that currently I'm using. I just started Instagram. Sometimes I post some gym fitness photos. I mean, it's not everything is about investment. So I'm also writing a book currently, so not yet published. So it still take me some time. So so connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Really happy to share more.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today on the Get Ready Money podcast. Appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you.
Thank you
nice
so
seeing
much
you all.
for having me.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. And thank you, everyone, as always, for tuning into this episode of the Get Ready Money podcast. If you learned something today to change the way you think about money, please be sure to subscribe and to tell a friend. Until next time, let's change the way we think about money.